G'day, Big Al story. Got a new story. Wrote it a year ago. Going to read it to you now. It's called Scroll Murder. Scroll Murder by Big Al Story. Murder. Who did it? In 280 characters or less. I wouldn't want to waste your precious time. The rest of the family sat in a circle, stabbing at their devices, mindlessly scrolling through the distant voids of social media. Baby was asleep, dead to the world. Violent echoes of the nightly news played across the TV screen, but nobody could hear, nobody looked. The volume was just above mute, and it rarely changed. Like a smouldering fire, its continual silence brought a cohesive glow to the house. Outside, the snow fell in silence. Peering through the cold glass window, the scene looked cosy. Breath fogged the inside of the frigid glass. With no conversation, they were still somehow connected by the device in their hand. All their necks bent at the same angle. Mum was the last to sit down. Even though it was her birthday and the eldest sibling Michael had cooked dinner, she couldn't escape the responsibility of washing up. Washing up was a shared responsibility, and tonight was Mum's turn. Her tired and ageing body collapsed on the couch as he looked up from his phone. "Happy birthday, Mum." Silently floating to another window to get a better look, the two sisters could be seen. Peaceful. Like blissful twins, they scrolled away on their identical phones. The eldest, Tennille, was watching TikTok dances. With an internal smile and muted arm movements, she rehearsed the trends that she would enact in the morning. The younger one, Jenny, the one with freckles, sat motionless, still, like a military tank waiting for dispatch. She was researching requirements for joining the military. The two girls were very connected, but they definitely weren't twins. Tennille was 16, Jenny was 15. They had different fathers. They weren't aware, but after the next hour, they would feel a blood connection far beyond the events of tonight. There is a man that, it is said, left the scene earlier. Many years ago, he fathered Michael and the eldest girl, Tennille. His relationship with their mother ended long ago. There is another man. He's far more involved in the lives of his two children. He is the father of the younger ones, Jenny and Baby. He left the scene about a year ago. Baby is not quite a baby. He's about 2.5, but being 13 years younger than his sister Jenny, he's definitely the baby of the family. Baby was his usual name, but sometimes he was simply referred to as Whoops. Although he was loved, he was definitely seen as separate to the rest of the family. Simply being different doesn't stop love. A dog is different to a human, but it can be loved as a true member of a family. A dog will love you back, but distance can do something altogether quite different. A dog tied up to a shed, away from the house, might be lost and alone without its love. Depending on the distance, he might even lose connection. His name could disappear altogether. Given time, he might just be called the dog. Given both time and distance, he may never again respond to the human word. No matter which way you look at it, being 13 years younger than the next family member creates a distance. They accepted and had even discussed the idea that one day he would be old enough to understand the difference. When he's old enough to have his own phone, he'll probably make the connection himself. He's loved, but it's just different. The father of Jenny and Baby seemed to do a good job, generally. Pick-up and drop-offs were a shared responsibility and were communicated mainly through text. It was a subconscious agreement that this mode of communication was the most suitable. Text messages are clear, but still provide a distance that seems to work. The added bonus with text is that there's a record of all communications, just in case you might need them in court. On this particular night, she jumped between her social feed and a message thread with the ex. He generally dropped them back on time. He generally picked them up on time too. Sometimes there were mix-ups. Mum or Dad would assume the other was picking one of them up. It wasn't perfect, but the shared responsibility seemed to work. From the lurking cold on the street, the whole scene looked serene. Warmth glowed from the internal walls. It was almost bedtime. The last scrolls whizzed by in front of their shadowy faces. Their rolling eyes were fatiguing right before their obedient fingers. But the presence outside was far beyond sleep. Jenny heard it first. "Mum, someone's breaking in the car." They looked at each other. Thud, thud, thud. The sound made them all sit up straight. Thud, thud, thud. Smash. Glass shattered. They ran to the window to see a dark figure leaning into Mum's car on the street. Mum opened the front door and the warm light spilled across the snow. As he closed the distance towards the house, the light illuminated his features. The look on their faces is hard to describe, especially when they realised the dark figure was our neighbour. He carried something in his arms, a thick clump of blankets. He delivered my cold, lifeless body right to the front door. My body was left in the car approximately 4 hours prior to that moment, and that's where I stayed until my body froze. They thought that baby was inside asleep, but I definitely wasn't asleep inside. Even before I shut my eyes, I was at a distance they couldn't quite comprehend. I wouldn't bore you with the long 1-hour story of the mix-up that led to me being left in the car. The details. The time I spent with eyes opened. How long I could feel my eyes shut. The barking coughs that slowly reduced to silent screams. They're all too painfully slow to tell you about. Maybe some other time. I'd like to say it was me, my warm spirit drifting past the foggy window to check on you guys one last time before I left. But it's not like that. I was definitely checking up on you, and it definitely was me, but I have no intentions of leaving. I'll be floating around here a bit longer. I could lurk somewhere in the distance of your digital spaces and drop you reminders from time to time, but I won't. Like a lost being, I'll just hang around here for a bit longer. Quiet and unheard, like the distant barking of neighbourhood dogs, I'll scream. The sound will fog the windows for many years to come. Please forgive me if I don't do it regularly. I'll do it when I remember. Sometimes in summer, sometimes in winter. Definitely when you're gone. I don't know if I'll ever find out whose fault it was. I'm really not sure who's responsible. You can all share responsibility if you'd like. But please, there's one thing I ask, and in my very silent voice I'll be asking it for some time to come. Please, please, always think of me before you scroll. So that was pretty dark, that one. And when I wrote this and now, I don't know, I just sometimes have like really dark, I don't know where this fear comes from, but like if I had to save my daughters from like some dog or some cliff or something, I'd be like, I think I'd be there for the moment, and I'd be like, okay, I'll sacrifice anything. But what lurks, because it is a lurking thing, what lurks somewhere in me is like, oh, imagine if I lost my daughters or something really bad happened and I did something super casual whilst it was happening. I think that would be harder to deal with, I think. It's not, touch wood, it hasn't really happened, but there are casual moments that something big will happen and I'll miss it, or casual moments, and this is possibly the more tragic thing, is that I could be on my phone, like I am very often, and then my daughters could be like make a discovery, like a musical note, or not a tragic thing, but it's tragic that I miss it because I'm on my phone. So that's possibly more so what the story's about. Well, it's about as much about that as it is about the possibility of something tragic happening whilst you're on your phone. I think that would be really hard to deal with. Anyway, yeah, Creative Behaviour Dad is my other pseudonym. Big Al Story, Creative Behaviour Dad. And this is Creative Behaviour Dad is about all things parenting. And yeah, this one's obviously about parenting. I'll leave it at that. Check it out. Check out Creative Behaviour Dad and check out Big Al's Story on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook.